Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Donna Montgomery, and I am here with Julius Solis.
Yep.
He is one of our very active committee members on the communications committee of NTONL, and he graciously agreed to talk to us today about his passions and how he made it into nursing. And we just want to talk about that and learn more from Julius and see what can maybe apply to others that are maybe interested in pursuing a nursing career.
All right.
So thanks, Julius. If you can introduce yourself to us, tell us where you work and what your role is right now, and then we'll get into some of the other things.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. And Donna, thanks for having me here. My name is Julius. I am a manager here at Texas Health HEB. I actually started my career in the ER. I've been there for 10 years, and then 2 years ago got promoted to basically managing one of the inpatient med-surg units here in the hospital. And truly, my passion when it comes to nursing and leadership and management is trying to fix things. I like fixing things. I like to identify problems, try to reduce any inefficiencies or redundancies in workflows. That kind of really what challenges me. I like to be able to, make things easier for other people, which, all that comes to is promoting better outcomes for our patients. Because if we are equipping our employees, our staff with the tools and the resources that they need to do their job, then that in turn will make our patients happier, have, like I said, better and positive outcomes for the patients. So that is kind of the core of my passion. Is really just to where are the problems, where are the gaps? I like to try to analyze things and systematically kind of just like tackle them piece by piece, kind of like a puzzle. So
yeah, very good. So tell me a little bit about that, Julius, because you've been able to do that since you're in nursing.
Yeah.
But what helped you figure out that you wanted to go into nursing?
So this is kind of a funny story, I guess. If you guys don't know, I actually moved here to America when I was 18. I was born and raised in Manila in the Philippines, and one day my dad was just like, "We're going to move to the United States." I was like, "Okay, great." Back then, I was studying mechanical engineering at a university in Manila, and I think with me having kind of like that engineering background, which is a lot of
Yes,
problem
very
solving.
analytic.
Yeah, analytic. Moved here, and I guess, I became part of the Filipino cliche, which if you're Filipino in America, you probably work in healthcare. So I moved here. My aunt is a nurse. She worked at Parkland, and she was one of those people that kind of just like kind of pushed me into like saying like, "Hey, why don't you try this? If you're telling me that you didn't really enjoy, mechanical engineering, and you just kind of were not really forced into it, but back in high school, you don't really know what to do.
I know.
You speak to your counselor, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're good at math.
Let's try this."
So we're suggesting something, within the STEM, program, maybe engineering. It's like, okay, I mean, what do I know? I was like 17, right? So,
Yeah.
I got a job at Parkland. I actually started in the kitchen. I was passing meal trays to patients, getting their orders for their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I just started kind of like seeing the workflow of the nurses. And I was like, oh, this is very different than what I thought nursing would be, and very different than the nursing that is in the Philippines, right?
Yes.
So I was like, this is something that I feel like I can probably do. And going back to what I say, it's kind of like funny because I guess I'm not one of those people that had like, oh, I was young and I noticed, or one of my loved ones was in the hospital and I just saw this nurses and, those stories are really, really great. But sometimes I ask myself, like, I don't have that kind of story.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, it just happened. The situation kind of like I had to find work and I ended up working in a hospital and I just kind of like started, advancing from working in the kitchen to being a unit secretary, to moving to an ER, becoming a tech in the ER, and then becoming a nurse, and then a charge nurse, a supervisor, and then now a manager. Um, that was kind of like the trajectory of what happened to me. But truly, that's kind of where I ended up. Is someone suggested it to me, and with just me being a go-getter, just kind of like a natural thing for me. And I hate failing. So I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna commit to this. I have to finish this throughout the end.
Yeah.
And it's where I am now. And that kind of like drive continues based on like the people that surrounds me and that influence me in my life. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow, what a story. So actually, I really like that, Julius, because what it reminds all of us about that are in nursing or thinking about nursing is that we can encourage people,
Yeah.
right? We can say, hey, you're interested in this thing. Why don't you try it?
Yeah.
So that is a great story.
Yeah. I guess we can say that I was kind of like a lost soul and like someone gave me direction
Yeah.
and and then from then it's just like a natural innate thing for me to like really succeed and see things throughout. And where I am now, I really do enjoy it. I love the idea and just like the feeling that we get when we are able to solve problems and we're able to see that it's impacting other people and it's not just in their some of the superficial things in life where like it's their finances, whether it's their, their, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is like you're really impacting them holistically. It's like this is their life, this is their health, this is their well-being. We are fixing a lot of the things holistically and
a big impact.
Yeah, it's a really big impact. So
yeah. So I know when you and I first met, one of the things that you told me is that not only do you like to fix problems and help support your staff with those, but you told me that you really like technology. So that I could see where that kind of came from some of the mechanical engineering background that you brought with you. So how have you been able to leverage technology to try to fix problems? Because I think that's a big thing that everybody in healthcare is trying to figure out, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess with my generation growing up with technology. I can trace this back all the way when I was, young and started playing with computers. At first, it's like just gaming, and then started to learn like some kind of language, HTML and all that. And I started to just make my own websites and all that kind of things, which is a lot of fun back then. And you get to format it the way you want it and all that. Um, but now, there's so many available technologies out there. And my company is actually they have invested a lot in technology to help us with our workflows. But sometimes we don't have a lot of champions that would actually explore this and then kind of help disseminate every learning that you've had in a specific platform and all that. So one of the first things that I did when I, became kind of like in a role, an official role of a leadership, is really make everyone transition kind of like from an analog to a digital, age. And that started with just like making sure that all of our forms are now digital, right? Like there shouldn't be any paper forms. There shouldn't be collecting stacks of paper.
Yeah.
So I, transpose a lot of the things that we have on paper to just like an Excel spreadsheet to begin with, and then it just kind of like grew from there. And then now with Microsoft Teams kind of like dominating the workplace, excuse me, I've also kind of pioneered that here at HEB. I've made, I've helped each department set up their teams and their channels, how to use the chat feature, how to use kind of like the SharePoint features of that, helping each department create their, their internal website and their org charts and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I just started with that and then explored other things and really use that to resolve, again, like I said, any redundancies and create a more seamless type of communication between teams. So one of the things that we've done on my unit is kind of created like an end of shift report, which all of the charge nurses can access. And so if you're handing off, from night shift to day shift and vice versa, you can see those end of shift reports because they're all kind of like stored in a cloud. Back then it's kind of like a paper thing and you have to like go through like books of that. And then I've also digitized the unit secretary's logs for admissions and discharges. That way, it's all digital as well. And then we can review, how the discharges went for that day. What were the barriers that some of the nurses kind of like encountered when they're discharging someone? We can track the discharge times and look into again, what caused the patient to be delayed in getting discharged or transferred to a facility. So, with that, it enables us to basically find root causes of certain things. And we were able to identify that, hey, maybe this specific discharge, it's transportation, maybe care flight, ground, there's so many traffic, or congestion in DFW and they arrive late. So we can really, find those inefficiencies.
And see which ones you might be able to affect, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit today is you have been a member of NTONL, which is our professional organization for nurse leaders. And you recently joined the communication committee, which is how I got to know you, which I'm glad you're on the communication committee. But actually recently you also accepted a position on the an advisory position on our board.
Yes.
So I want you to talk a little bit about you deciding to join the NTONL group.
Okay.
And what you feel like, how did that make a connection for you? And, how do you think professional organizations help us as nurse leaders?
Yeah. So, I joined NTONL. Initially, I've attended some of the forums, winter forum, spring forum, and I really did enjoy it. I think there's a lot of substance that we can take from the speakers and apply it, to our workplace. And Kelly, one of the directors here, she kind of like encouraged me, like, hey, I think your skills may be of good use, to the communications committee. So, do you like joining? I said yes. And then, we've kind of worked this past couple months, and then there was a board position that opened up, and she was like, I think again, you would be valuable if you joined the advisory board. And again, I just said yes. And it's just really very interesting. And I think part of me, I really just wanted to put myself out there, explore other things, look for opportunities to grow and develop, and basically lean in on other people too, meet other people and see, their story and learn how they ended up, where they are, and seeing if there's anything that I can apply to my own practice and to my own, professional career for that. NTONL is not just a organization that, kind of help you grow, but it's a good avenue to network and like learn from others. So I guess for me, if you're really looking into joining any professional organizations, don't be afraid. It can be a little intimidating at first, especially with me, I'm just like, oh, this is going to be full of like very established leaders, and I may not have anything, to add, like any value to add, but just just taking it, saying yes, taking every opportunity that you have to really grow and develop as a leader.
So I heard a couple of themes as you were talking. So when you were telling us the story about how you became a nurse, it was about someone encouraging you.
Yeah.
And you said yes. And same thing with NTONL, right? Someone encouraged you.
Yeah.
And you said yes. So I think that is such a great nugget for anyone listening to this today.
Yeah.
To remember that if someone encourages you to try something and you're looking for a way to grow, saying yes can really blossom into so many other wonderful things. And I think your story is such a testimony for that. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us today.
Yeah, I do believe in that. I think the message that I would like to send to people that are maybe interested in leadership is, don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to say yes. Take every opportunity that there is out there, and let yourself be guided by others. Because, even at bedside, we already know we cannot take care of a patient on our own.
Right.
It takes a whole team.
Right.
And, let your team, whether that's your manager, your supervisor, your director, your friends that are also in management, let them guide you. Let them, if they're offering something and it's within your capacity and you have time to do it, say yes, explore it. Because, the worst thing that can happen is, like, maybe you don't enjoy it. You figure out it's not for you, but at least you get to try it.
Yeah,
and it still, adds to your experience. It adds to, your professional career. So
yeah,
just say yes.
awesome. I love it. Well, Julius, I really appreciate your time today. I think this is such a great message for our community and for nurse leaders in general, and for those people out there who are thinking about saying yes to trying to become either a nurse or a nurse leader. So appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And I will see you at the communication committee.
Yes.